Welcome to the video tutorial on how to configure HTTP GET carriers in PageGate. In this tutorial, we'll be going over how to communicate with a web API that requires information to be submitted with an HTTP GET request. Before we begin, to have PageGate communicate with a web API using the HTTP GET method, you'll need two bits of information. First, you'll need the URL to submit the messages to, and this should be provided by the web API host. Second, you'll need the format and parameters to submit to the URL. For example, let's say that this is our API URL. And let's also say that the parameters to submit are API, from, to, and message. That would mean a fully constructed HTTP GET statement to that API URL would be as follows. Once you have the URL, parameter names, and values, here's how to configure it in PageGate. First, open the PageGate admin. Next, right-click on the Carriers section and select Add. Give the carrier a name. This can be anything you like, but I do recommend giving it a straightforward name as that will help make administration easier in the long run. Next, select the HTTP GET protocol. Once you do, it will ask for the host, port, and max characters. You'll want to set the host to match the API URL. Set the port field to match the port that the host requires. HTTP requests typically use port 80, and HTTPS requests typically use port 443. Set the max characters to a value that reflects the type of message you're sending. For example, if you're sending SMS, set this to 160 as an SMS can only contain 160 characters. Set it to 240 for pagers, and 6000 for email or any other form of communication. Click Apply to add the carrier to the list, and then click on the plus sign next to its name, and go to the Template subsection. Here in the template, we're going to tell PageGate what parameters to submit to the URL, and we're going to tell PageGate what data value each parameter needs. To declare a parameter name and value, you'll use this format. The vertical bars shown here are called pipe symbols and are made by pressing Shift and backslash on most keyboards. So to use our earlier example, let's say that there are 4 parameters to configure: API, from, to, and message. API should be set to a static value of SMS, so we'll add this line to the template. Next, we want to say that the from variable needs to have PageGate's sender variable inserted. Next, we want to say that the to variable needs to have PageGate's recipient ID variable inserted. And finally, we want to say that the message variable needs to have PageGate's message variable inserted. The complete text section of the carrier's template should look like this. When finished, click Apply. So now we've taken this and broken it down into its 2 parts, the URL and the parameter names and values, and configured PageGate to submit this information to the web API. This concludes the tutorial on how to configure HTTP GET carriers in PageGate to communicate with a web API. For more information, including how to configure HTTP POST carriers, please visit our website, www.notepage.net.